Hi, I'm Nigel Mason, Managing Director of Bali Adventure Tours, now known as Mason Adventures. We've started operating on the Ayung River and rafting back in 1989, almost 30 years ago. And since that time, we've been in charge of looking after the river and keeping it as pristine as we can for future generations. Each month we set out to do a cleaning operation on the river to keep it in beautiful condition. Today is one of those clean-up days. However, it's a job that only our rafting Mason Adventures does. There are now about 20 rafting companies operating on the Ayung River, and not one of them contributes to this monthly cleaning operation, leaving it only to us. These companies, plus the drink sellers along the river, are happy to make profit from the river, but seem to be disinterested in its upkeep and maintenance required to protect the river from pollution so that it remains pristine and unspoiled into the future. Over the years, these drink sellers have multiplied to take advantage of the cheap rafting operators whose underpaid guides are happy to take commission from the sales of their drinks. Our guides have never been allowed to stop and give business to them, as they are a major contributor to the plastic pollution that gets worse every year. Our company faces the prospect of singularly doing this job alone, with no help from rafting companies, drink sellers, local communities, or even the local government. On top of the pollution problem, there is also a further danger caused by these cheap rafting companies who go out of business and leave behind badly built and dangerous infrastructure that they refuse to remove. So yet again, to protect our own guests, we are forced to remove these dangers that can cause injury or even death, as this particular abandoned launching area did only weeks ago when it caused the death of a Chinese woman from another rafting company. For our guides, this is often hard and very dangerous work. Even though it was not our guest that died, and it isn't our property that caused the death, we are the only company to take the trouble to remove this danger and eyesore from the river's edge. Often the rafting companies have cheap and broken rafts, so they just abandon them on the river. In this particular case, we're having to throw these things onto fires and burn them because they're too heavy to put in the raft and carry out of the river. By the time the raft's finished, they're usually full of all sorts of stuff, old reinforcing rod, plastic bottles, plastic bags. Of course, all this pollution eventually floods down the river when we have the wet season, and this stuff is dislodged, and often it ends up right down to the ocean and then comes back with the tides to pollute the beaches. And of course, plastic bags are well known to cause not just pollution but also death to marine life. What needs to be done is a concerted effort by the government, in my opinion, to regulate these companies and bring them into some kind of uniform control. The drink sellers, in my opinion, should be removed altogether from the river. They're unnecessary and shouldn't be there. I understand that people need to make a living, but this is totally unnecessary because it's not only an eyesore, but it's also causing the worst of the pollution. As a company, we are happy to support anything that the government comes up with to solve this problem, and we hope that this small video will show people exactly what is going on in the river and perhaps make people aware that something needs to be done now to keep it beautiful from now into the future for future generations of Balinese and for future generations of tourists who come to this wonderful island.